makilig. So, marami po tayo dyan. However, MakiSining is now extending or broadening its reach, and some of them encompasses other members coming from different regions and different cities. We have members coming from Baguio, from Cebu as well, from Samar. So MakiSining is broadening its scope. And one of the ways that MakiSining can introduce itself to the major public is to have collaborations with other groups and institutions from different islands. And this is where TLRC comes in. Okay, now for today, aside from being a very special day, I hope everyone is gonna be doing special things tonight, this afternoon. I hope so. Sana all, my love life. Pero pag wala kayong love life, make sure that you love yourself. Okay. Now, before anything else, let's call on Miss Hazel, our administrative assistant, to tell us more about the different webinar etiquettes that we should follow. Miss Hazel?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And happy Hearts Day. Okay, so before we dive into our webinar, let's cover a few key reminders. So let me share. Share that. Okay. Okay, so there you go. So this webinar will be recorded. We will be keeping tab of the proceedings for the webinar for documentation purposes. You're free to leave if you feel uncomfortable that this session will be recorded. And mute your microphone during the talk. We want to make sure that the speaker's voice is clear to everyone. We may opt to remove you if you don't follow these requests. And refrain from taking pictures of the talk. If you do so, you will be accountable of data privacy violation. And for the copy you created leaks into internet outlets. We wish to wait. Nalagyan ko. To identify of our participants' privacy for yours as well. Tabunan ako ang kuan. So next is avoid using the annotation tool. Once the annotation tool is activated, you might unconsciously swerve your arrow towards the speaker's presentation and draw unnecessary lines that may block the participant's view on the some text and images in the slides. This may also cause distraction to the participants and to the speaker. If you have questions while the talk is ongoing, you may put them in the Q&A box. After the talk, you will have to ask your question. We wish for you to only use the Q&A box and the voice because of our time constraint. And of course, don't forget to evaluate. Your inputs on the webinar will help us improve our next webinars. Please do not forget to evaluate. After you have answered the forms, you will be given a proof of participation. Evaluation link will be open right after the webinar and shall remain open for only 10 minutes. Our webinar is currently live streaming on our YouTube channel, TLRC UP Cebu. For those watching through YouTube, you will get your proof of participation by staying until the end of the session. We will be announcing the instructions at the live chat, so please stay tuned. So our socials for more webinar and trainings updates, follow and contact us on these platforms. Our FB page, Teaching and Learning Resource Center, University of the Philippines, Cebu. our YouTube channel, TLRC UP Cebu, and our tlrc.upcebu.edu.ph and lrc.upcebu at up.edu.ph. So that's all. So back to you, Ms. Jan.
Okay, thank you so much, Hazel. For those who said that it's so refreshing to have new things coming in at TLRC, and also it's nice to see me. Thank you so much for welcoming me back. I also miss you. I think we have a lot of previous audience and attendees from before who are now coming in because of our new activities. Note that the LRC will have activities every Wednesday, like almost every Wednesday and every week from the month of February up until the month of March. And new webinars will be coming in on April, May, June, and July. So always stay tuned. We still have more in store for you. And bring your friends and family for a learning session every Wednesday with us. Okay? So again, TLRC is so happy to welcome you all back. And I'm also very happy to be back at TLRC hosting all of these webinars. And before that, and before anything else, let's also welcome our new TLRC coordinator as he introduced us to our speakers, today. Fernand, welcome to TLRC and kindly introduce our very lovely speaker for this Valentine's edition.
Sure, it's actually really my pleasure and honor to introduce our speaker for today's event. I know, guys, that you're all excited to see him and to listen to his talk, but allow me to introduce our speaker for today's event. Mr. James Arnosa, he completed his undergraduate studies in microbiology at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Currently, he works as a research assistant for the UST PCHRD project at the University of the Philippines, Manila, with aspirations to pursue further studies in medical microbiology, microbiome studies, and also zoonotic diseases. Beyond his work in microbiology, our speaker this afternoon is also actively involved in creative pursuits. He engages in freelance digital illustration and graphic design and has recently developed a passion for acrylic painting. Painting inspiration from nature and artists like Peter Moorbacher and Marco Bucci. And our speaker explores concept art and digital painting, constantly expanding his creative horizons. As an alumnus and former leader of the UP Painters Club and the UPLB Zoological Society, Mr. Ernosa demonstrates his dedication to both art and science. Please join me in welcoming Mr. James Arnosa.
And thank you very much, Miss Mala, Miss Hazel, and Mr. Fernand for the very warm introduction. Let me share my screen po. And good afternoon, everyone, and happy Valentine's Day. Gusto ko lang i-extend ang aking pasasalamat sa UP Cebu Teaching and Learning Resource Center for hosting this one-month-long event, HeART Talks with us. Maraming salamat din to Miss Mala, Miss Hazel, and to the TLRC coordinator, Sir Fernand. A little background about myself lang siguro, since parang nabanggit na halos lahat ni Sir kanina. I'm currently maneuvering the local art scene here in the country, as well as I am a freelance illustrator and designer. Sa ngayon naman, we will be exploring this question: why do I feel the need to draw? At siguro, mga iba pang mga katanungan na tinatanong natin sa ating mga sarili when we hesitate to begin a creative journey. As an illustrator myself, I think it is fundamentally important for us to ask this question. Why do we feel the need to draw? Or better yet, we can first ask a more simpler question. Why do we draw? Bakit ba tayo gumuguhit? For the history of drawing, humanity, so tayo, we have been creating and drawing ever since we acquired the ability to sketch, well, on the sand, sa mga kuweba, sa mga bato, at sa kung saan-saan pang mga bagay na pwede nating gamitin. Because, well, humans, we are innately creative. This was all before we have even invented the paper and the pencil and all the very fancy materials we use today. And all of these things, nangyari ito lahat across all cultures, across of the whole entirety of human history. Up until now, actually in the forms of, let's say, emojis or signs or whatnots. Dr. David Pearson, he is a cognitive psychologist whose research examines the mental processes involved during memory, mental imagery, and creative visual thinking. In one of his talks, he actually asked the question. So as flashed here, if we can already imagine what something looks like, why is there any value in actually going to draw it? Dr. Pearson's question is relatively simple one, but it all boils down to the idea that art and drawing are visual mediums. Just like language, we have long been using drawing to communicate from the hieroglyphics ng mga ancient Egyptians up till now. And in turn, drawing allows us to capitalize on the ability of our brain to more easily reinterpret visual information. As we gather information around us, so sa paligid natin, mas madali nating ma-digest siguro, maintindihan ng paligid natin kung ginuguhit natin ito. So drawing from a reference or real life allows us to process what we are seeing in more ways and see all of the details. Or siguro if gumuguhit lang tayo sa memorya, we can only have access or process what we draw sa kung ano yung na-notice natin. I think this is more evident in ways wherein, let's say, people in the field of sciences, like katulad ko, usually we incorporate drawing to process and understand the real world. There are whole fields under sciences na ang aim ay para ma-interpret ang scientific knowledge into visual information, may it be, let's say, botanical, zoological, medical, or other forms of scientific illustration. And kung napapansin nyo, di ba, yung mga textbooks, scientific textbooks, they're very full of, let's say, visual information na mas mapapadali para sa atin to process what is being shown to us. In turn, this idea supports our creative thinking and also para mas luminaw siguro or mas ma-improve yung perception or pananaw natin sa ating paligid. I'm going to argue that artists, we are researchers, at least in our own ways. Just like the scientific process, we artists usually, we do this very extensive process of researching on the subject matter that we are drawing. So we often observe the world around us, analyze it, and then i-interpret natin ito, yung mga observation natin, through our art. This process parallels the research methods used in many other disciplines. So let's say before an artist can draw a human body, syempre aaralin niya yung anatomy ng tao. While not as extensive as anatomy in the field of medical and life sciences, they still need to undergo a tedious research process in order to successfully pull out an effective illustration. So here are some racks na ginawa ko a few years ago. So tatlo sila. Before I can understand how light, shadow, shapes, and other things work sa rock, kailangan ko muna intindihin how does it look like? What does it look like? So the very rational thing na ginawa ko dati, that time, ay mangolekta ng references ng mga bato to effectively study its form. If I can, usually din ay lumalabas ako. I go outside and grab my sketchbook and pen, pencil to draw things around me. So another few illustrations I did din a few years back. I believe the first image is a yellow crowned flower pecker. The second one is a Visayan tarctic hornbill, and the third one is a Philippine forest turtle. So these are all endemic to the Philippines. As I was in the process of understanding how they look like, these species, kasi syempre to communicate effectively ay dapat close tayo sa accuracy ng visual information. During that process, I always kept in mind how the proportions are relative to each other. Let's say, gaano ba kalaki yung beak ng tarctic hornbill as compared to the rest of its body and stuff like that. So I want to emphasize that artists are researchers talaga. An anecdotal experiences I can share is that a lot of my peers in the hard sciences, so my classmates in my undergraduate and other people from the sciences or applied fields, are very much into art, may it be drawing, painting, photography, film, theater, etc. So, kasi like these two things usually they complement each other in the most beautiful and surprising ways we can imagine. Like kami sa MakiSining, a lot of us have background in the sciences or engineering or medicine and the likes, but we are also artists in our own ways. Drawing is thinking in pictures. So this is an idea presented by Rolf Amer, a professor of the Munich University of Applied Sciences, and he teaches biophilic design. So biophilic design, these are creation of life-friendly objects or images and services based on nature or sa kapaligiran natin. He argues that drawing supports thinking in which we will explore later on. On the other hand, this is an illustration I did back on, I think, around 2020 while I was starting digital art. So I grabbed like a very beautiful reference of a river and the mountains. And then I started to observe first how does the rock work? How those mountains look like? How does the river flow? And then parang after a thorough research of the subject matter and after observation, then I made this piece. So drawing supports our thinking first by igniting our intuition. There's this drawing exercise I sometimes do. So ginagawa ko minsan. Usually I'm just going to draw aimlessly. Kukuha lang ako ng sketchbook and a pencil without any end goal or expected output in mind. This actually frees or let's say liberates me from the endless worries or even stress sa I have to endure in my everyday life. Parang pinifree ako ng drawing, aimless drawing sa mga usual na iniisip ko, ganun. And in turn, it improves a more, I can say, an intuitive outlook in life. And when we are intuitive, then we can see the beauty even in the smallest things. Just like the illustrations I showed you prior, yung mga bato and some endemic wildlife. By drawing these, I actually found beauty in the subject matter. So may mga instances where I spontaneously think of, okay, ganito pala itsura nung, let's say, yung fur ng isang hayop, or ganito pala yung itsura ng isang halaman, thus making me appreciate the natural world more and more. Let's say, I'm going to draw a leaf nga. While this may seem simple kasi dahon is, it looks oval and then that's it, diba? Na may pointed end lang. While it looks simple or it seems simple, I am actually going to observe the leaves around me and maintindihan ko na yung even the smallest details, such as how they curl, how the textures affect the scattering of light, or even the most subtle color differences if may, let's say, chlorosis or yung altered pigmentation ng leaves. Now we can see patterns and color and detail na hindi naman natin usually nakikita on a normal day. Next, have you ever tried walking peacefully on a pathway surrounded by trees? So yung naglalakad ka lang. Actually, drawing feels like it eh. As I said earlier, na it liberates us from our parang stress and worries. And then, in turn, it supports thinking by reflection and imagination. So it allows us to reflect our thoughts and emotions by drawing what we cannot see but already understood. So as I said earlier, after observation, after we understand na how a thing works or how it looks like, let's say a leaf, or an animal, um, we also understood yung complexities niya, yung subtleties, kahit the very simple details. As we improve this activity through drawing, then we can now imagine new ideas or build worlds and characters out of our experiences and imagination. This is the same to other fields such as, let's say, film or literature or video games. These things are born out of imagination eh. Parang if you actually research about the process of, let's say, filmmaking or video game making, ang haba-haba ng process ng creative process nila wherein from observation of a topic, then they, or a subject matter, they imagine new concepts out of it. Things that are born out of imagination, we can simply do it by starting to, we can simply do it by starting to draw. And last, as I mentioned earlier, drawing is a visual communication. That is a way for us to communicate, to share yung mga experiences natin sa iba. So even if we have questions and hesitations, like, I can only draw stick figures, or is this good? Or am I really capable of creating? Or is it art? Or should I stop? I think the importante na i-remind natin yung sarili natin na our drawings do not have to be quote-unquote pieces of art. If they help us to think and connect with others, they are good enough. So I think what Amer means by pieces of art are art that can be seen in the museums, yung super technically good talaga in the by standard. But we don't have to strive for that. So parang ang beginning ng art journey ko is that I started doodling aimlessly talaga from my notebooks in classes. Ganyan. It liberates me from stress kasi let's say I'm in a class nung undergraduate ko and I don't have anyone to talk to kasi wala akong kilala sa klase. I'll just grab my sketchbook and draw and then parang everything feels better from there. So after that, so yun yung mga, here are some of my pieces na ginawa ko nung, I think around high school ako nito. So I have a pen, sign pen, yung gel pen, and a paper and a dream. And then I discovered yung color. So I parang bumili ako ng mga colored na pens and then doodled. Here are some then. But, okay. And then, the pandemic hits and naiwan ko actually yung lahat ng art materials ko sa dorm kasi while I was in LB, that was, I think, 2020 and then the pandemic hit. Umuwi agad ako sa province namin and iniwan ko yung mga art materials ko nga. So I have nothing. Wala man lang ako kahit sketchbook ko, naiwan ko lahat yon. So the first thing that I did was to buy a graphic tablet, the one that is used to draw digitally. So here are some of the things that I made recently with my art. So from doodling, actually nag-transcend na yung, let's say, subject matter ko na from the natural world, then in-incorporate ko yung mga nakikita ko. Mostly ay mga hayop, so you can see snakes and stuff here. And mostly birds din sa work ko. And then I drew from them. So here are two of my latest paintings in acrylic. So I have a deep fascination with birds talaga. I usually incorporate them in my painting. So that's the progression of my work. And then I am going to argue actually that while there are inherently talented artists or prodigies or geniuses, quote unquote, tawag na nila, sometimes it is harmful if art is solely influenced by talent. While comments like, hala, ang galing mo naman, super talented mo naman, is well-intended and in good faith, sometimes it reinforces the idea that people are just born with innate talent. So some people believe that ilan lang sa atin ang gifted with the talent of art. When people attribute someone's artistic success solely to innate talent, this can create a sense of, let's say, discouragement for those who may not feel naturally gifted in art. So in a way, para siyang, if we believe that drawing, need mo ng talent before you can draw effectively, then it's actually gatekeeping the skill and the activity itself. There's this even um, a famous quote by Picasso. If nabasa niyo na to somewhere, so I have read this somewhere then. Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist when we grow up or once we grow up. And honestly, I believe that this is true. Most of us, if not all, found fondness in drawing when we were young. So at a very young age, we are inherently observant, drawing things from our environment, expanding our visual vocabulary, rendering beauty to simple abstractions. So most of us parang dumaan sa process or sa phase of our life where we have drawn this field, parang palayan, and then the mountains, and there's a sun. Parang feel ko naman, we have to agree that all of us have drawn that thing or subject matter back in the day. But then, may mga magdi-discourage sa atin along the way. Hala, ang pangit naman yan, ano ba yan? Di dapat ganyan mag-drawing. And things like this, these things hurts a child's willingness to even try. Funnily enough, the famous YouTuber PewDiePie, if familiar kayo sa kanya, started this drawing challenge a few weeks ago. So he never claimed to be an artist kasi never naman talaga niyang sinabi yon. Nor never niyang claim na he is talented. But look at his work after roughly, I think, 100 days of drawing. There is an insane amount of improvement from day one up to the recent drawings niya. And binanggit din niya sa video that along the way, he actually found enjoyment while drawing. Another case I want to present to you is Marco Bucci. So he's one of the most respected artists that I know of today. In one of his video, he said, at 19 years old, this kid had hope. He just didn't have skill. And look at kung saan siya dinala ng hope niya. So even without an art background, like nag-start yata siya around early 20s na niya. So in his college, may malapit daw na parang art class that teaches gesture drawing and figure drawing. So he started to learn gestures, form, shapes, and then through the years, one by one, he learned the fundamentals of art such as composition, rhythm, color theory, values, and then parang after a few years and until now, he is a professional artist. So Marco Bucci, parang isa siya sa mga I can say evidence that he even said to himself that hindi naman siya talented. He had just hope and also the willingness to try that pursuit or the creative na journey. I would like to emphasize that if we see drawing and art to an extent as a skill rather than talent, then we will be free from the notion that either we have the gift or we don't. The way I see it, drawing is more of a skill that we can improve. It's like a muscle that we can train. I can honestly vouch that there is a muscle memory sa kamay ko every time I grab a pencil or a stylus or a paintbrush because I did it already 100 of times. Naniniwala din ako na the beauty behind is that we can make mistakes and we learn. So we practice and we practice and we practice and we make mistakes and we learn and we repeat. I think we can find beauty in that while very repetitive task. Na-enjoy ko naman, at least sa akin. There is this talk by American writer Elizabeth Gilbert that I love very much. I think that the name of the talk is Your Own Elusive Creative Genius. So she argues that the concept of individual with innate talent puts pressure on people to perform, creating unmanageable and unachievable experiences and expectations. By attributing success or failure to something outside their own talent, artists could release themselves from the unbearable pressure to draw from their own internal imagination. So she believes that creativity is not innately within us. We just have to grab it once na dumaan siya sa harap natin. So she argues that it's actually floating sabi niya Once na it's there, if we grab it, then we can start going into the flow rather than we set expectations that we are innately geniuses. Okay, so this quote by Picasso resonates with me to a very, I can say, a very personal level. While there might be instances where I am inspired to begin a creative journey, feel ko mawawala rin yung inspiration na yun if I will not grab it. And mawawala yun if wala akong gagawin. Drawing, and in a bigger sense, arts is actually accessible for us, normal humans. So, unlike sa other na creative fields, I think relatively cheap mag-start mag-draw because we just have to grab a pencil or a paper na meron naman sa mga bahay natin or sa office natin. So we don't need to buy expensive acrylics and oils and canvas to begin our creative journey. We just need the pencil and a piece of paper. And ang sabi nga ni Marco Bucci, as I presented earlier, he doesn't have the skill, but he has hope. So he has hope. And I honestly believe that all of us are capable of creating. We just need to find our drive. Or in my case, my love for what I am doing. So happy Valentine's Day everyone, and I hope may natutunan kayo sa very short na talk ko about why do we feel the need to draw. So sana some of you will be inspired to actually start drawing in the near future kasi while as in myself kasi I do not make art for the sake of, let's say, I want to create something beautiful. I actually do art because beneficial siya sa akin kasi na-enjoy ko siya. So I find love in doing art. So from that, kwento ko na rin siguro yung isang experience ko. So there is this time around a few years ago where araw-araw ako may ginagawang art, and not for myself. I did that to actually gain traction sa social media. In that case, sa Twitter that time. So para kasing Twitter, they actively niyang pinopromote na dapat constantly nagpo-post yung people para hindi ma-shadow ban yung artist. What I mean by shadow ban is that hindi mawala yung, let's say, visibility ng mga post ng artist once na hindi siya mag-post. So na-encourage ng algorithm na everyday may post si artist. So by that, I think I succumbed to that hole wherein I did the art for the sake of may magawa lang. And it actually burned me out as an artist. Parang after that incident, after ko dinelete yung Twitter account ko that time, is that there is this few weeks, I think, of hindi ako gumawa ng art because na-burnout talaga ako. So after that, iniba ko na yung perspective ko in doing things. So I believe that when I do things in my own way, so in my own time, and para sa akin din, it is more effective since we don't have other people na need natin ng validation for what we do. So with that, I think sana ma-encourage kayo na to actually start a creative journey, not just drawing, because art, visual arts or art itself is very broad. We have literature, we have music, we have film, we have theater, and other stuff. And all of these things, it just boils down into kailan ka magsisimula and when will you start nga. Yun, thank you everyone, and I hope masaya ang Valentine's niyo mamaya.
Masaya talaga ang Valentine's natin later on, James, no?
Yes po.
Okay, so sa lahat po ng gustong mag-start ng creative na journey nila, wala pong age ang pagsa-start. Just a little push po at a little bit of courage to do things. Now, before we have the Q&A session, make sure you have your questions already. If you have questions, kindly write them down in the Q&A. But habang while James is still resting for a bit, medyo mahaba-haba rin yun na talk. Let's have the other offerings coming from TLRC for the next few weeks. Okay. What is our webinar for next week? Okay, so for next week, Unfortunately, next week, hindi po tayo makaka-meet ng Wednesday, but we'll be meeting on a Tuesday. That's February 20, 2024, with our speaker, Dr. Nico Sedicol. And he will be talking about when systems fail, everybody ails. So, Dr. Nico is also a medical doctor, and he is looking forward to talk to you about arts and health for the betterment of all. This is also a very interesting subject to look into, and Dr. Nico's work are also so amazing, just like Dr. Said and also Mr. James. So I do hope everyone will enjoy their family, friends, co-teachers, colleagues to be with us next week, February 20 on a Tuesday, to hear our speaker, Dr. Nico Sedicol. Okay, thank you so much. Let's go back to the Q&A session. Excited na ako, James. Are you ready?
Excited na rin po akong sagutin ang some of our questions from the audience.
Okay. Sige, pin us in. Let's have our first question. Eto, very first question. Is it okay to use references when drawing? Kasi parang meron ring mga, dahil nga sa bombastic AI ngayon at saka art theft at everything, baka meron dyan na nagda-doubt na pwede ba silang gumamit ng references and anything. What do you think about this, James?
I personally believe that this is how we start doing art. So di ba, before na invent yung printing, images, social media, Pinterest, we have the natural world around us. So we have the environment around us. And artists, like from years and years back, they painted, they drew from things they observe from the environment. And that's the same as using references in your art. So I don't know if if this is a hot topic, but I think it is okay lang na mag-trace sa art basta magpa-practice ka, because in that way, parang if you're beginning to understand how things work, syempre you have to start somewhere, di ba?
Exactly.
Yeah, you can do it. You can use a lot of references from Pinterest, from Google, from the natural world, from your gallery to start art. Parang that's the mapupush siya atin to do.
Okay. Yung take ko naman dito ay ganito. So if you wanted to have your art sold, make sure that it's original. But in practicing art, you have to make sure also that you look into the references, whether it's a natural reference, an image reference from the web. Make sure that you also experiment with all of those references and practice. However, in making art that you wanted to sell, avoid plagiarism.
I have to
So,
agree din natin, Mahala, sa statement mo.
yes. Kasi, of course, before, if you can still remember, most of the European pictures and, images before, they tend to have very similar. And at some point, some of them are mass-produced, right? For the general public to enjoy. But right now, we have legal matters when it comes to creative and artistic foundations, especially if you wanted to become commercial. However, if you wanted to start your art journey, everything starts from copying. That I really agree with that.
I have to agree then, yes po.
Yeah, as what Salvador Dali said, that too much freedom creates nothing. So having references will give you some reins on what to do and give you some idea on what to expect and the outcome. And that's the reason why you need to have references. Okay, so agree tayo dyan. And also, James, meron pala tayong message dito. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, James. It is helpful to his personal growth, according to Sir Angelo over here. Congratulations to all of the organizers also for your successful webinar today. I'm proud of you and I like and enjoy your webinar. Okay, your host. Thank you so much. I'm pretty. Thank you. It's very Valentine's. Sinusubukan niyo ko. Okay. James, another thing. Do you have a deep fear when starting out with your art before, knowing that you are coming from the sciences, just like me. So you are coming from the sciences. Do you have some sort of a time in your life that you were doubting why you were actually drawing or making art?
Actually po, Miss Mala, like before I parang started my graduate studies in biology and microbiology, gusto ko talaga na mag-pursue ng career sa arts, like professional career sa arts. But then there comes a point where I realized to myself din na I can still do what I love while doing another thing that I love.
Mm.
So which is the biology, microbiology. These two things can coexist naman, like right now I am currently working as a research assistant while also doing freelance illustration and graphic design. So parang yung doubts ko lang siguro that time is that kaya ko bang pagsabayin yung two things na to? But then I have learned throughout the years din naman na yeah, they can coexist and actually harmonious sila to each
Mm.
other.
Okay, so you just need to know your priorities and
Mm.
everything can coexist as is. Okay, so ako agree rin ako dyan kasi I'm a student right now, but I'm also doing art just like James. So if you wanted to see James' work are very cool and very good, so you should see them. Okay, any more questions from our participants? Baka meron po tayong mga questions dyan. How about our organizers? Baka meron kayong makating question dyan. Okay? Sir Nan has a question. Sir Nan, come on in. Pinay up.
Yes, happy Hearts Day, everyone. Pasensya, I'm actually wearing two hats in this webinar right now. I'm also attending a meeting, so it's okay. I think based on what you've discussed earlier, I also have a relevant question. Um, how do you balance your scientific work with your artistic pursuits? And do you find them complementary in any way, sir?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Nand. So upon thinking about it, there are times talaga na um, nawawala ako, let's say, sa flow in doing art. Like, it's not just weeks eh. May times na months talaga na I'm not doing anything artistic because I was caught up in doing academics and sciences and all that. But I believe naman na it is within me na lang na kailangan ko babalik. Parang if I find the time, or let's say in my experiences, the people around me, kasi sila yung nag-push sa akin na gumawa talaga eh. Like in the UPLB, so sa UP Painters Club, I have an organization where artistic art community kami. So we are students doing art as a sideline instead of sciences and engineering and stuff. So parang sila yung parang anchor ko sa arts in a way na hindi ako mawala dun sa flow ko kahit na let's say nagsa-stop ako for ilang a few weeks, a few days of not doing anything. And with the second question naman, are you asking po ba if uncomplementary yung these two things?
Complementary or not complementary?
Yes po.
Nanding, sa tingin mo sa akin, complementary ba yun?
Feel ko.
I think, James, complementary sa'yo, right?
Oh, yes po, parang sa sciences,
Mm.
specifically sa biology. So we have fields of biology na need talaga ng extensive na illustration. So we have systematics. So we drew botanical, zoological illustrations na dapat very accurate to what we want to represent. Kasi since we want to convey scientific knowledge, we value accuracy. So express ko naman yung artistic or creative side ko doon sa scientific side. So very harmonious sila with one another. And as I said earlier, artists are researchers talaga, in at least for me, parang the creative process is very parallel siya sa research process. Observation and then continuous na observation, and then what we observe is communicate natin yon sa other people.
Mm. I
Yeah,
see.
it's really nice to
So,
know. I think
okay.
systematic, di ba, Jarat? Natapos mo na yan.
Tapos na. Tapos na ako mag-systematics.
Kaya pala.
Okay, for
Kaya
those who
pala.
don't know, I am also a biologist by profession and also an artist on the side. So, yung sa akin naman po ay mga acrylic paints at saka ink works. So, James and I were able to meet each other here at UPLB and he is my littlest, cutest brother here. So, yun. So, James, another burning question. Since you are dealing with digital art, what is on your art making and all of these issues regarding plagiarism and AI? What is the AI's impact on your art making and your processes in terms of putting out your work out there in Twitter or in Instagram or in Facebook? Do you have some doubts? Do you feel afraid? Or do you feel that it's okay, even if these new technologies such as AI, art generating tools are in the market right now?
Miss Mal, I have to come back yun sa recent previous statement natin na while copying is okay while we are learning, it is a very no-no once na we sell commercially. So parang same din siya sa idea of AI and using AI to profit from the works of artists since as of today, like in my current knowledge, wala pa masyadong regulation about AI art. While it may be a tool for some people who para mapabilis yung creative process nila. Some actually just do it for the sake of may mabilis lang magawa and they want to sell their art agad-agad. So there's this dispute talaga na stealing intellectual property and it needs regulation as of now. And as for myself naman when posting on social media and all that, I think medyo natatakot po ako lalo sa mga digital artists and for professional na mga concept artists because there's this massive na layoff of artists na talaga like recently ilang hundreds na ng artists yung nawala ng trabaho because pinapalitan ng AI. And I believe na need talaga ng regulation yung current na issue.
Ako, agree rin ako dyan. I am also, it's not that I am not pro AI. AI will soon literally encompass some of the things that we will be doing. That's part of the fourth industrial revolution. And it's known that most of the jobs that are routinely and can easily be learned through machine learning would also be impacted by AI. That includes art creation and image processing. And as long as there are no regulations coming in to properly regulate AI and commercial production through AI, there will always be loss in terms of the profits that should be gained by artists like us, especially that our works are often being studied for AI processing, if I'm not mistaken, especially if we put it out there. So I think it's more of, aside from the legal matter, we also have to make sure that we teach our students and our new generation what creativity really means as a personal, cultural, and also societal aspect of being human. So sana there will be an improvement on this matter, di ba, James? Soon
Yes
enough,
po.
dapat may
Sana po.
improvement. Sana nga. Okay, so at least you have heard our sentiments regarding AI on that. Again, AI will soon encompass some of the things that we will be doing, but I do hope that regulations will come on in more properly for, of course, for the benefit of humans as well. Okay, we have a question. What do you think is or are the reasons why most paintings are somehow expensive? Ayun.
Ayun.
Ayun,
Um,
this is quite a question. Sige, James, go ahead.
This is actually a very interesting question since I admit to myself that I'm just starting my creative journey. So kaya nga I'm encouraging you guys to start din your creative journey because parang sabay-sabay tayo magsimula. Because wala namang age na hinahanap to start your creative journey. But to answer yung question ni anonymous participant, I think one of the reasons why most painting are somehow expensive is because um as there are instances kasi na art is being commodified to an extent na maybe sometimes dangerous na siya. Like let's say um these collectors, they put value too much on the how can I say this po ba? Wait lang po.
You can rephrase it if you like.
Yeah, I will rephrase it po. Sige. While I believe that we are worth more than what we do, parang if we make something na we spent years of hard work on, so gumawa tayo ng artwork after years of practice talaga and experience and all that. And I believe naman na we can put value na kung ano yung sa tingin natin ang tama. So yun po yung ano parang gusto ko lang sabihin na maybe some paintings are very expensive since the artists that are parang gumawa ng paintings na yon, um they have put effort and experience and value sa gawa nila. So sila mismo yung somewhat what makes the value.
Okay. So, yun. The value of the painting. How much is being put in there. So, most of the fine art pieces that I know of are quite expensive because of, first, its lack of being commercial. So, hindi siya naman mass produce most of the time. And that creates a uniqueness that whenever you as a buyer would buy it, you will be the only one having that. So, isa yun. Another thing is how much are the materials na ginamit and how much time is being used. So, ilang labor hours po ba yung nagamit ng artist para magawa ang pyesa? Kasi yung labor hours na yon hindi lang sa pagpipinta, kundi pati na rin sa paggawa ng konsepto, pagpaplano, at lahat ng individual as well as mental na preparations para sa isang painting. For artists, I don't know with you, James, but as an artist, I am still quite very very cheap. Yeah, because I'm still starting. And the more you're able to go through your art journey and to be connected with people and have your art out there more often, the value of your art becomes higher. I think this is a natural order. Am I right, James?
I think opo, yes po. Parang through years as we gain experiences, so as the artist exhibits and exhibits more, as his name or her name is known more, so I think tumataas talaga yung value ng artist and in turn, the art.
The art as well. So, marami pong factors. And hindi lang po material na factor, special na factor, temporal na factor, pati po passion. Sabi pa ni James kanina, passion! Ang puso ng art na yun. Dala na po yun. Pero, isa po yun sa mga factors na nagiging expensive yung isang artwork. Maybe, I think, Kuya Paul will be able to tell us more about this one in one of the webinars. Okay, so stay tuned about. Okay, but most of the time, artists do price their artworks based on a couple of factors. It could be the materials, it could be the conceptualization and thought process being put to it. It can also be the labor hours. It can also be how many years of practice that is already there. It could also be the popularity of the artist itself, himself or herself. Okay, so, lima po yan. So, pwedeng ganun po yung maging factor on how expensive or how cheap the artwork can be. Okay, so before we go to the next question, James, I would like to read out some of the comments in the meeting chat. Sabi ni Ma'am Chari, AI, if used abusively, makes the younger generation's creativity and originality inexistent. Yan po ay totoo. To be more creative, you need to create. Okay, so if you don't create anymore, then basically creativity and originality becomes inexistent. It's quite sad that AI, which is supposed to be a helpful tool for the society and the people, is also the thing that interferes with the discovery of a person's capabilities and potential. But with the right regulation, di ba, James? With the right
Yes, ma'am.
regulation, AI can be something very useful for humans. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Good afternoon po. I am a visual artist and I did portraits, but I got burned out. My passion in drawing for almost 7 months up until now, and I don't know when I can start again. Any advices, motivation, and tips? Thank you po. Okay, so
Ayun,
that's coming from Sir Brian Solis.
I actually resonate with the question since I mentioned earlier that there are times talaga na I will stop doing art for a few weeks, for a few months, but then babalik naman ako. And my anchor, as I said, is yung art community ko. Because I have people who, let's say, baka may ano naman, may drawing challenge, may prompt. So yun yung parang trigger ko to start again. At least for me, so para maswerte na siguro ako. But for some people siguro na we don't know where to begin again, ay siguro, what I can advise is that look for things that inspires you. So I don't know what it is, what it might be. You can watch films, listen to music, just take a walk outside and observe your environment if you're into that. Do things what you love, and then I personally believe na when you are engaged mentally in any form of creativity, ay papasok yung inspiration from there. And if may katiting lang na ounce na you are inspired, you can just grab a pencil and from there, ano na siya, magsa-snowball na yon. I hope sana ganun yung mangyari sa'yo. So find
Okay.
things that inspires you.
Okay, so Sir Brian, find things that would inspire you. Okay, yun po yung pinaka-main suggestion or tip ni James po sa inyo. Yung sa akin naman po, be observant with the environment. So, of course, hindi po lahat ng tao nasa magandang environment. Hindi po lahat ng tao may oras. Pero yung art kasi, dalawang aspeto yun eh. Isa is kaya mo bang maging passionate sa isang bagay? Kalawa, kung passionate ba, kaya mo bang maging committed?
Mm.
So, if passionate ka sa isang bagay, mag-commit ka. Commitment does not mean that you show up every day. But commitment means that in a month, you show up in most of it. So, pag sinabi mong, sige, magdodraw ako ngayon. Kahit ito lang. Isang 1/4 piece lang ang dodraw ko ngayon. You do it as passionately as you can. You commit to drawing it for how many times. And also don't feel bad when there are days when you are so down that you cannot do it. Remember that progress is better even if you have missed some of the days because it's still considered progress. But if you miss one of the days and then you started thinking, I should not do this anymore, then there will be no progress. So if you want to rekindle the way you love art before, rekindle first the reasons and your commitment why art is part of your life. And get through it. Para bang nag-Valentine's ka lang, may nobyo ka ngayon, 'di ba? Try mo na i-keep yung relationship. Ganun. Ganun yun. Passionate commitment. Yun lang rin yung nakakapag-ano sa akin na kumuha ng pintura at magpinta.
It's very timely ngayon, Miss Mala, since Heart Day ngayon sa Valentine's. So yeah, passion and commitment.
Passion and commitment. Ayun. Lumabas na yung heart ko. Yun. So I do hope, Sir Brian, thank you so much for having that question. Any more? And I do hope Sir Brian will, have his passion back again. Okay? James and I are rooting for you. Okay. Do you have any more questions, everyone? Okay? Kung may question pa po tayo? let's give them few seconds to see if may question pa po ba. Okay. Sir Nan, may question pa po ba kayo? Wala na? Ako marami akong question para sa'yo, pero itawag ko na lang.
Yeah, wag na lang dito, please.
Itawag ko na lang. Okay, so if we don't have any more question, then I will briefly reconcile all of the things that we have had this afternoon. So why do we draw? Because it's a fundamental thing to do. And most of us, if not all, are artistic by nature. And we know that because our artistic nature and creativity started when we were young. The only thing that would hinder us is how we keep on becoming an artist as we grow old. So that's one. And we should take note that the talent myth is bad for our art journey. We know that art can be started by anyone at any age, at any levels of expertise. If you start your journey, you should have passion and commitment to start it. Okay? If you feel burned out, it's okay to stop art at some point. But do not forget that art is still within your life and you can easily come back in when you are ready. Okay? And another thing is that all artists are also researchers. And because art is a visual medium, doing art is also a thinking process. So don't say that because you are doing art, you don't know anything, or art is only for people who does not want maths. Art is for everyone. Art is a thinking process. It's a communicative process as well. It gives you a time to ignite your intuition. It gives you time to reflect and imagine. It gives you an avenue to express yourself. And technically to see the beauty in the world around you. And that is the best lesson that we have today with Sir James as our speaker. So I do hope everyone learned something new today. And to appreciate Sir James' presence and sharing for today, we would like to call Sir Nan for the certificate of appreciation. Sir Nan?
Yep, thank you so much, Miss Jara. But before I will read the e-certificate, I would like to extend my virtual thank you to Sir James Arnosa for taking the time to join us today. Okay, so this certificate of appreciation is proudly given to Mr. James Arnosa for sharing his invaluable time and expertise as a resource speaker in the webinar on why do I feel the need to draw on February 14, 2024 via Zoom, given this 14th of February 2024 at TTC Bulahog, Cebu City, signed by yours truly. And again, I would like to say thank you and thank you, Sir James. Thank you for the TLRC staff and also to Miss Jara for always sharing and always saying yes to all our invites. And thank you for, I think we have 43 participants right now. Thank you for joining. And also for our YouTube live viewers, thank you as well for joining. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Sir James.
Thank you, Sir James. Oh my
And
God,
thank
oh
you
my
din po.
God. Okay, so photo op muna tayo. For everyone who can open their cameras, you can open your camera, you can start your video so that you will be part of our photo opportunity. Okay, where are your best smiles, everyone? Hi, Michael! You're at school! Hi po sa lahat, Ma'am Shari. Hi po! Hello! Ayan, our
si Michael.
beautiful participants. Mga beautiful at mga nagwagwapuhang participants natin ngayong araw nito. Okay? Miss Hazel, will you be the one taking the picture for us?
Okay, so everybody smile. 1, 2, 3. Another. Another.
Another
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Another position naman.
Wait lang, Miss ha. Kapag ako sa'yo. Padak. Okay. Okay, sige. 1, 2, 3.
Ayun.
Okay.
Goods na ba tayo, Miss Hazel?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for being here with us. I hope you will be here with us on the next leg of our webinar that will be on February 20. That will be on a Tuesday next week. It's gonna be on a Tuesday next week. Okay, so for the evaluation reminders. Yeah, let's have our evaluation reminders for today.
Okay.
For our evaluation reminders from the Teaching and Learning Resource Center, our evaluation and processing of e-certificates are automated. So please make sure to type in the correct spelling of your name since this will reflect on your e-certificates. Also, please be mindful in typing your email address because it is where you will receive your certificates. We suggest that you keep a copy of your response in the evaluation for you to verify if you have made mistakes. Always click send me a copy of my responses before submitting. Normally, it takes less than 3 minutes after submitting to receive your certificates, and should you not be able to receive it by 5 p.m. today, just send us a reply message with your concern to the confirmation email that we sent at lrc.upcebu@up.edu.ph, and we will manually send the certificate on the next working day. And note that the evaluation link is open for only 10 minutes. Kindly find them in the chat box, our evaluation link, or use the QR code out here at https://ly/evaluate/y-draw. Okay, so if you cannot see those or cannot use the QR code, the link can also be found at our chat box right now. Congratulations, Sir James. Congratulations, Miss Hazel, Sir Nand, and Sir Noel. I'm so happy for today's session, and thank you so much for your concerted effort in organizing this event. Thank you so much to our participants, and don't forget to evaluate so that you can get your certificate. And see you next week. Always be happy, always be ready to learn, and go forth and multiply your knowledge. Nan is laughing out loud. Okay. Don't forget to evaluate. The link is over here at our chat box. Miss
Jen,
Hazel, I think we can
we
already
Sir Michael here.
turn the record already off. Not record on the YouTube live, I think. Hi, Sir